In this video, you're going to learn how to use the concatenate and concat functions in Excel. We'll take a look at their similarities and differences so you can decide which one to use when you're joining text strings together. And if you'd like to grab a copy of the Excel file that I use in this video, just click on the link in the description below. Okay, over here in Excel, and I've got a little exercise set up where we've got some text strings in the cells in columns A, B, and C. And we're going to join together those text strings using the concatenate function and also the concat function. And when we do that, you'll see how they're similar and how they're different, and that will help you decide which one to use in different scenarios. So the first thing we're going to do is come up to cell E2 and see how the concatenate function works without actually referencing any cells. So we'll just type everything into the function. So to get that started, we just type equals concatenate and open the brackets. And you can see there that Excel is asking us for the text string 1, and then we put in a comma, and then we can optionally put in text string 2, comma, text string 3, comma, etc. So you need to put at least one text string in. So when you're just typing things into the function instead of referencing cells, you need to put the text in quotes. So I'll just open the quotes and then type the letter A and then close the quotes. And that's my first text string. So now I'll just press comma and I'm going to do the same thing, except this time it's going to be the letter B. Okay, and you can see that the function is asking for more and more text strings that are optional. So I'll just put one more in, which is the letter C. And then we'll close the brackets and press enter. And there you can see that we've got the text string A, B, C joined together in cell E2. And that comes from the concatenate function where we hard coded in A, B, and C, and we put it in quotes, and we put a comma between each text string. So let's do the same thing now with concat. So we'll just start that off with equals concat and open brackets. Okay, and you can see there it's asking for text string 1 and then a comma. So we'll do the letter A again. And now that we've got that in there, it's asking for the next text string. So we're going to end up doing the same thing for this function that we did for concatenate. Okay, so I've got A, B, and C in there in quotes, and I'll just close it off. Okay, and you can see that once again, we've got A, B, C joined together, and we've achieved that by putting A, B, and C in quotes inside of the function, and we've got commas between them. So really it's the exact same thing if you're just going to hard code in the values. All right, now let's see how they're different, and we'll do that by actually referencing the cells that have got A, B, and C in them. Okay, so for concatenate, we just need to choose text string 1, which is there at cell A3, comma, text string 2 at B3, comma, and text string 3 at C3, and now we'll close it off. So we've got the same result, but this time instead of hard coding the values in, we've done cell references. All right, let's see how concat is different. Okay, so you can see it's asking for text string 1, but this time instead of doing each cell individually, we can actually just drag the mouse across and reference the whole array. So you can see that we've got A3 and then a colon and then C3. So it's going to join together all three of those cells in the array. So we'll just close that off and we get A, B, and C again. So you can see the difference between the two there. That one we can do an array, and that one we have to reference each cell individually with a comma. Okay, so that's the big difference between the two. So let's just drag that down just so we can see that this works in exactly the same way for numbers that are in there for the text. And I'll do the same for concat. Okay, so you can see that works just the same. Okay, now we've got a couple of words in there instead of just letters. So I'll drag that down and you can see it's joined how are you question mark together. And we come over here and we'll do the same thing. How are you question mark. I'll drag it down one more. Okay, so we're referencing those three cells there, and one of them is blank. There's nothing in there. and you can see that it's just disregarded it. So it's got AB, and the same thing happens when we look up the array of cells with CONCAT. Okay, so you can see the difference between the two is that one of them you have to reference every single cell, and the other one you can reference an array. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to get how are you ? Together again, except I want a space between how are and a space between are you. So it looks like a proper sentence. So the way to do that is by a combination of referencing cells and doing what we did up here, where we actually hard coded in some values. We're going to hard code in some spaces. So we'll come down here and just start off the function, and I'll reference the how, comma, and now I'll open the quotes, press spacebar, and then close the quotes. Okay, so we're going to put in a space and then comma, and then I'll reference the R, comma, and then I'll do the same thing with another space, comma, reference the U, close it off. Okay, and now we get how are you with spaces between the words. Now we run into a problem when trying to do that with concat because we can't really put spaces in our function when we're referencing an array like that. So what will happen is that we'll have to just do exactly the same thing as we did with concatenate. So I'll just show you that. Okay, so I've got it all in there. I'll just close it off. Okay, so we get the same result, but you can see that we've pretty much just done exactly the same thing, except obviously this one we've got concatenate as the function, and this one we've got concat, but everything inside of the brackets is just the same. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to show you is what happens if we've got how are you, like that, but we wanted to put a question mark on the end. So we'd come up here into our formula, press comma, open the quotes, put in a question mark and close the quotes. Okay, we've already got the brackets closed there, so I'll just press enter. All right, and now we've got how are you with a question mark there, and we've hard coded in the two spaces and the question mark. And then over here for concat, we'd have to do exactly the same thing. Okay, so we'll just hard code that in there in quotes and press enter. Okay, so we get the same result there. So once again, the only difference is that one's concatenate and that one's concat. Okay, so you can see the difference between the two. Concat is only really useful if there's an array and you don't need to add in any spaces or anything else in between the text that you're going to join. Otherwise, it acts the same way as concatenate. Okay, so that's the similarities and differences between the two and also how they work. And you can go ahead and decide which one you need to use on a case-by-case basis.